Welcome everyone to another episode of What to Stream with myself, Lupe from Cinemovie, and Morgan from Cinemacy. How are you, Morgan?
I'm good. I feel like we haven't seen each other in so long.
I know.
In
It has been,
weeks.
well, yeah, probably like 3
Hi.
weeks because you had
Yeah.
your co-host, your brother, and I had Jana last week. So it has been actually a long time.
Yeah. Hi.
Hello. Well, I'm looking forward to hear and see what you have recommended for us this week. So you want to get it started?
Yeah, I'd love to. Okay. So the reason why I missed last week was because I was actually at a screening of this movie called Censor. And this is a really great British horror film that I absolutely loved. The screening I went to was also incredible, put on by Flux and Vidiots. So huge shout out to them. They really made the whole experience awesome. They gave us actually VHS little things
cool.
Yeah, super cool. I mean, there's no VHS in it, but yeah, just like kind of the cover. Anyway, I had to share because I thought it was so cool. But Censor, yeah, is a British horror film that first premiered at the Sundance Film Festival this year. And it's directed by Prano Bailey Bond. And what's another really cool fact is this film is 75% made up of female-led departments. So we have a female director, a female composer, and a few other heads of the departments. But anyway, let me tell you about the movie. The film centers around this girl named Enid, who is a film censor. And basically her job is to go back and rewatch old video nasties, as they're called, but kind of like X-rated movies. And not sexually so much, more as just graphic and violent movies, and take out a lot of the really overly obscene graphic moments in these movies to help kind of stop the crime that's being influenced by these films in the UK. And so her job and her life is very intense because she's watching these movies all of the time, and that's just what she does. She kind of like dreams of these just like violent images all the time. Until there's one movie that she is editing, and she realizes that the situation in this film is exactly the situation that she went through, where she lost her sister, or her sister disappeared under kind of mysterious circumstances in the middle of the woods. And this one video kind of shows that same scenario played out, and just the graphic ending that kind of comes after. And Enid is very determined to find the director of this movie and figure out, like, do you know what happened to my sister? Is this based on my life? That whole thing kind of dovetails into this. What's reality? What's fiction? What's a nightmare? And it's really heady, and it gets really gory. And yeah, Censor is such a great film if you're looking for something that is female-led, female empowering, but also kind of chaotic and over the top. It's great. I really liked it. It came out on Friday in theaters, and it will be streaming soon. I don't have the exact date of that yet, but I did want to call it out and put it on the show because I think it's a really well done movie. Really small budget. I think it opened with like $30,000 box office revenue or something when it first came out. So it's really small, but I think everyone should see it to support your local indie film. So again, that is Censor, which is certified fresh too, by the way, on Rotten Tomatoes.
So it sounds like it's a movie that messes with your head.
Oh yeah, it does for sure. And it was funny because the screening that I went to last week, they had it in the middle of the woods, like in this outdoor amphitheater surrounded by and so watching it there was very intense, because leaving the screening, we're just like, oh God, we had a feeling that like someone with an axe would just come out and do something insane. So that added to it too, I think. But yeah, so overall it was really fun.
That's cool. Where was it?
Yeah.
What? I mean, it's hard. You have to go distance to find woods around Southern California.
It was in, I think, Franklin Park is the name of it, up past Beverly Hills, kind of between Beverly Hills and Studio City, if that the top of that mountain.
So it is woodsy up there.
Yeah, we lost cell phone service. It was very Blair Witchy, and it was an event for sure.
Oh, that sounds so cool.
Yeah, it was fun.
Oh, that's a cool experience to have.
Yeah.
Now we all got to go out in the woods, take your computer or your phone and watch it.
Honestly, if you can, I highly recommend it. It's it's definitely a little bit different than watching it like in the comfort of your own home. But being outdoors in an outdoor kind of horror film is really something special.
All right, we have a cameo around here. There's a fly hovering. So if you see it, that's our cameo for the week. It's a freaking fly that just started to land here.
We have lots of fans.
All right, well, I'm talking Luca for families. If families want to need some viewing options this weekend, Luca is coming to Disney Plus solo. Actually, it's I just saw a movie. Well, actually, I can say it now. I saw Black Widow at El Capitan today. So by the time this airs, I can say it. And I noticed it said Luca's showing at El Capitan. So people who live here in Southern California, you can go check it out in a movie theater. But it's free on Disney Plus, believe it or not. It's not on Premier Access. It's on regular Disney Plus for subscribers. So you don't have to pay any extra. And it's the latest from Pixar. Pixar is making their trip around the world. They focused on different parts of the world. This time they're at the Italian Riviera. It's a beautifully animated film. It stars two sea monsters who want to be human. So once they leave the water, they become human. And they go on this adventure, and the voices, the two kids, I guess they're kid sea monsters. And their names are Luca, of course, the name of the movie, and Alberto. And Alberto is voiced by Jack Dylan Grazer, and Jacob Tremblay is Luca. They meet a human girl, and they decide I'm trying to remember this, they're Rosebud. Essentially, they have a rosebud, like in Citizen Kane. They want a Vespa. Like a Vespa is a drawing they find on the beach, and they just aspire to get a Vespa. So that's what takes them on to the land. And when they meet this little girl, there's a competition. And guess what? If you win money, they figure you can buy a Vespa. So that's their little rosebud, which I thought was very, very cute. And of course, some of the voices are Sarah Baron Cohen, Maya Rudolph, who's hilarious, who plays the mom to Luca, and Jim Gaffigan plays the dad, Lorenzo. And, it's an okay movie. It's really beautifully animated. It's nice for the family, but it's not on Pixar level where we see like deep meanings and just emotionally weighted, and you can really relate to it, just the themes from it. Here it's pretty basic. It's not bad. It's just a family film. It's pretty straightforward. Check it out. If you're a subscriber, worth watching, especially if you have a family. Or if you just like Pixar. I mean, the animation, like I said, it's worth watching for.
Yeah. Cool. Awesome. Yeah. Well, one movie I have to recommend that is coming out on Friday is a National Geographic documentary called Rise Again, Tulsa and the Red Summer. So this movie is very timely. It is streaming on Hulu and will be premiering on National Geographic on Friday, June 18th, and will air globally in 172 countries and 43 languages. So this is a movie that Nat Geo wants everyone to see. And it's, like I said, timely because it is to commemorate Juneteenth, which is going to be on the 19th on Saturday. Basically, this documentary is directed by Dawn Porter, who has done a lot of really great films, including The Way I See It and John Lewis' Good Trouble. And she takes to Tulsa, Oklahoma in this documentary to talk about the race massacre that happened in 1921, 100 years ago. 300 Black men, women, and children were killed and dumped in mass graves, and their houses and businesses and the whole community was essentially torched and lit on fire and destroyed by mobs of white men who thought their lives were in danger or were fearful that their jobs were going to be taken away. It's horrific. And what's even more horrific is that this event and catastrophe has been left out of US history books and just kind of left out of American common knowledge. Like, I honestly didn't know this happened until the last couple of years, like kind of recently. And it's amazing that I'm almost 33 years old and I didn't know this happened. And so Dawn Porter, she talks to the main person who kind of leads us through this film and takes us through these events is the Washington Post reporter, Deneen Brown. And she finds a mass grave in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and investigates kind of who was buried there and why is this not being talked about? Why is this not common knowledge? And how can America heal from this? And the first step is we need to talk about it. Mm-hmm. Yes, we're embarrassed this happened. Yes, it's horrible. And yes, like we wish we could do things over, especially now and in the current times that we're in. It's just horrific to think that something like that happened. But what's more horrific is not talking about it at all and pretending that it didn't exist. So Dawn Porter does a really, really good job of talking to the descendants of people that were killed in the Tulsa massacre. She gives a really good context as to how the Black community migrated to Tulsa and were able to sustain themselves and be prosperous and live pretty good lives up until that point. And it's heavy. But in her past films, she's also talked about kind of heavy, touchy subject matters. And she's done an excellent job of being delicate with the subject. And that's exactly what she does here. It's a hard watch, but it's really important. And especially for Juneteenth, if you're looking for something to watch, I highly recommend this. It is streaming on Hulu on Friday. And it's a Nat Geo production. So comes highly recommended. It's heavy and it's uncomfortable, but I think it's really important.
I'm going to go watch that because the first time I found out about the Tulsa massacre was in Watchmen.
Yeah, see, it's crazy how it's such a big, and that wasn't even the only massacre that happened. Like she profiles other ones from like 1919 and just how people have kind of gotten away with it up until recently. And it's shocking that was allowed to happen, but hopefully things are changing.
Yeah, I was reading something else about the violence against Asians. I was reading also about Asian massacres, and there was one here in LA that I read about, and some other ones in some other parts of the country. And I was like, oh my God, how did I not? We all know about the Japanese concentration camps, right? Mm-hmm. But nobody really talked about, I knew from history that Chinese were not treated very well at all in history, but I didn't know about a massacre. Right. And then when I found out about the Tulsa, I went and researched it. And I was so angry that nobody had ever taught us this part of history. Like, that is horrible. I mean, imagine if they hadn't burned down that neighborhood. It was called the Black Wall Street because people had businesses and they were making good money, and they burned it down and killed people because of it. And I thought, wow, that's just, another part of American history. You're like, oh, that hurts my heart,
Exactly. Well, and I forgot to mention, there's a lot of archival footage in there too. So a lot of videos of, Black Wall Street and the doctors and lawyers and prominent figures that made a name for themselves there. And what's really great to see, though, is like the descendants of those people that were in these photographs from 100 years ago are now in this film, kind of sharing their story and keeping their family name going and being proud of who they are and where they came from. And so that's inspiring to see. Mm-hmm. So it's not all just like, okay, this is horrible, we should all just feel shame. It's like, that is horrible and shameful, and here's how we can make sure it doesn't happen again. It's like, watch this movie and tell people about it and make sure everyone is aware that this happened so it doesn't repeat itself.
Wow. Yeah, that's heavy, but I love history. I love learning. I was a history major as an undergrad. Yeah. So I studied like Latin America, and all the things I found out there angered me even more because, the whole colonialism is what caused them to be poor, basically. All the third worlds, they're poor because of colonialism.
Wow.
And so you learn a lot. And so I always love learning about history and, just a lot of terrible things in history that people are kept down from, Mm-hmm. So it's interesting. I even thought, like, what if they didn't burn down that place? Like, what would African Americans be now where if Black Wall Street was successful and they were able to, mentor and help other people with businesses? Like, imagine what the world would be like.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. I'm going to check it out because I'm really interested in that history. Because like I mentioned, I love history. I love learning about everything. It happened in this world. So I'm definitely gonna check that out Friday.
Oh, good.
Put that on my watch list. I'm a
Nice.
big documentary fan when it comes to history stuff.
Yeah. Well, and Dawn Porter, the director, she's great. Like everything she does is so well done. And yeah, I think you'll like it.
Oh yeah, the John Lewis Good Trouble, her documentary. That was a great documentary.
Yeah.
If you haven't seen that one, I think it's on Amazon Prime.
Yeah, I think so. It's streaming somewhere for sure.
Yeah, that's another good one to check out.
Yeah.
Well, on the opposite end, I discovered a really, really fun show on Netflix. I'm sure you've heard about it. Kim's Convenience.
Yeah. Oh, yes. But I don't know much about it, but I've heard of it.
Yeah, I watched it. I think, of course, like Netflix always does. I saw it in the interface. And I'm like, oh, yeah, I saw a bunch of my friends talk about the show. And so I went to go check it out. So Kim's Convenience is based on a play by Ins Choi. And it's about the misadventures of a Korean-Canadian family running a convenience store in Toronto. And hilarity ensues. And if you didn't know, the actor who will be portraying Shang-Chi in Marvel's upcoming film, Simu Liu, he's in this show. He plays the son of the convenience owner. And the cast is just phenomenal, especially the older cast, the parents, Jin Yoon and Paul's son, Hyung Lee. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. But it's just a fun show. It really talks about, these characters are quirky and they've got their ways, and they contrast that with the kids who were born and raised in America. So you see that contrast between the parents and the kids. And actually the parents don't steal the show because they're the funniest part of the show. It's hilarious how they play off of each other. And I just think it's a really, really funny show. I'm on the first episode of the first season. There was some controversy last week. One of the actresses who plays the mom and Simu Liu talked about how they weren't happy towards the end because the writer's room was largely white, apparently. So they were not happy about that. And I guess the way it ended, they weren't really happy. They didn't feel satisfied with the ending. And they blame part of the fact that they don't have a diverse writing cast. So they're not knocking the show, but they just thought towards the end it didn't fare well. And I think the original author, I think he bowed out because of it. In the third or fourth season, I'm not sure. I didn't read up completely about it. But the first season I think is really good. I don't see any. Some people might say I'm not Asian. I can't speak for Asian folks, but from what I've seen, I think it's been respectful the first season, but I'm only on the first season. And it really shows the dichotomy between the two cultures, the old school from the old country and those from American ideals. So a lot of the times they come up against each other, and which obviously I can relate to, being from, parents who are immigrants. We were always fighting about that when we were young. I would say, I'm American. Like, you're not American, you're Mexican. I'm like, no, I'm American. It's like, so it was like, where's the middle ground? Yeah. So I just think it's really, really fun show. I highly recommend it, especially if you're looking for a laugh. It's just really, really funny. And all the characters, they're all really good. There's a sidekick. He's really funny. And it just really shows the gamut of an immigrant family, which I really liked. So we'll see how it goes with the other seasons. Like they mentioned, they weren't happy about some other stuff. And I already mentioned it's a Canadian show. I think it's CBC. I think that's a broadcast network in Canada. Yeah. So Netflix picked it up. So it's actually a Canadian show that aired over there, and Netflix picked it up. And it's 5 seasons. So apparently for the 5th season was the last one.
Okay.
And they're all on Netflix.
And you'll watch all 5,
Yeah, usually if I need like background, I don't know if you're the same way, but if I just need background, like if I'm posting trailers and stuff, I don't really need to think.
Yeah.
I'm just posting stuff, so I'm just doing the manual work. So I want something in the background on the TV. Right. So I'll put it on, but what ends up happening is I don't do my work as fast because I'm watching and laughing my ass off the whole time.
Cool.
And that's my 2 picks for the week.
Awesome. Yes, I know we have a shorter number of picks because I'm currently in the middle of the Tribeca Film Festival. So I've been watching a bunch of stuff that will not be streaming anytime soon, but hopefully in the following months, I'll have some Tribeca goods to share.
Yeah, I didn't have time to look
yeah.
for a classic film. Like you said, we're in the middle now that we're getting some kind of normalcy back. So now they want us in
Yeah.
movie theaters to go watch. That's why you see a different background. I'm actually at my parents' house
Nice.
because I would not make it from Hollywood all the way back to where I live, which is like an hour away from Hollywood. So
Yeah.
it's getting busy again. I don't know if I like all this going to screenings again.
I know, right? We've
Are you up for
been
it?
spoiled. Yes and no. I want to see people again or in the press screening rooms, but also, yeah, I've kind of been spoiled just being able to not drive there. So
yeah, I was excited
We'll
to see
see.
Black Widow on the big screen, but then on the drive back, I was like, oh yeah, I don't like this at all.
Yeah.
It was like major traffic just to get back to downtown LA, and I was like, oh man, yeah. I don't think I want to get back full time.
Yeah.
I enjoy watching stuff at home too.
Yeah, exactly. Same.
Alrighty. Well, hopefully that doesn't mean we talk about less movies because we're seeing less because we're going out,
I know.
right?
I know. Eesh. Hopefully not.
Right.
Well, there's no shortage of movies being made, so
True.
we will always bring what we can to you, the people.
So if you like what you've heard, subscribe to our channel, invite your friends to watch us every Thursday, and let us know what you want us to review that's upcoming, and we'll make sure to ask for a screener and let you know what this movie or TV series is all about and whether you should watch it.
Absolutely. Cool. Well, this was fun. I'll see you next week.
All right. See everybody next week. Bye, Morgan.
Bye.
And follow us on Twitter here on our handles.
Oh, yes.
Right there. All right. Have a good one, everyone.
Bye.